Let's talk a little bit about, well, let me just read it to you. JJ's book again. Wrestlers are like seagulls. At that point, could the problems with the company have been fixed? I'd like to think so. Would it have been a lot of work? Absolutely. If someone is taken to the hospital after being involved in a horrible car accident with cuts all over their body, the surgeons have to decide which wound to treat first. Any of the injuries could get infected. Will their efforts work? There's no way to know for sure. You can't know the outcome of your actions, but you have to start somewhere. The longer you sit around and talk about the patient and argue about where to start, the worse the patient will get. And WCW was in that kind of shape. Many of the contracts were guaranteed for 2 or 3 years, but we had to start somewhere. When I first went to my first TV taping, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall took me by the arm and said, "Let's go to the lunchroom and have a little talk." After steering me to a table in a remote corner of the lunchroom, Kevin said in a low voice, "Whatever you do, do not tell Eric Bischoff what kind of money we're making in the WWF." What do you think of that?
I think JJ's probably just, again, because of the timing when JJ came in, he's probably talking about that period of time in '99 and 2000 when he was actually in management. When JJ was there, he was kind of in management. I mean, technically he was, but JJ wasn't really involved in much, talent relations type stuff. Um, so JJ's window into the details of what was going on prior to or even during that time were limited while I was there. But in terms of the Scott and Kevin, I could probably see that. I could probably see that. It sounds like something Kevin would do.
He would continue. I laughed. Scott and Kevin smiled, and that was the end of our conversation. They'd told me everything I needed to know about Eric in that one statement. They knew that I was familiar with the specifics of their WWF contracts and that I knew their earnings while at the WWF. They negotiated a much sweeter deal with Eric, a high dollar guaranteed deal, and they didn't want anybody rocking their boat. At that point, I didn't know what my role was going to be or what was going to be required of me, so I didn't say anything. There was one particular talent who worked for the WWF when I was there. He was the top name in the business and had a minimum downside guarantee with the WWF that was consistent with most contracts at the time. And after I left and went to WCW, the WWF failed to renew his contract, and he spent 1 year working on the independent circuit. All of a sudden, I heard that he was being brought on board by Eric. His guaranteed contract was more than double what he'd been making with the World Wrestling Federation. That was a classic example of someone I could have helped Eric with. I knew the numbers. I knew about his situation. How could Eric justify offering the guy such a lucrative contract, especially without talking to me? Who could provide him with the details he needed to negotiate the contract, even if it was just 15 seconds over the water cooler? So let's just time out right there. I mean, it seems like, JJ's pretty putting it in there pretty plainly. Hey, Eric, I could have helped you not pay these guys so much money. And I read that one of two ways. If I was a wrestler reading that, I might be thinking, damn it, I thought JJ was going to take care of the boys. What the hell? And I also think in that same vein, hey, good on Eric, giving these guys raises, making sure that if the company can afford it, we're going to take care of our people. But then I see some people online who get upset when a guy like Swerve Strickland allegedly signs a multi-million-dollar contract, or Mercedes Moné sets a new record with her deal. Like, why do we care what anyone make? Why wouldn't we cheer everyone on for making more? How do you make this? We could have got him for less, Eric. How do you respond to that?
Again, that's a reflection of JJ having never run a business and just being part of the machine. Again, now keep in mind JJ's writing a book here, and
yes,
we get a little flowery,
yeah.
I guess, in some of our descriptions to try to make things sound a little more interesting. His point here is that I didn't take advantage of JJ and I didn't know how to run a wrestling company because I was spending too much money on talent. Okay. That's his point, and everything he's writing here is to support that perspective. What I did, again, because I didn't have the opportunity to offer the type of structured deal that Vince did. I had to guarantee people significantly more money than they were used to getting at WWE. And let's go back to Kevin as I make this example. I don't remember what Kevin told me he made. I think I was under the impression that all in, he was probably around 350, 400 grand a year after all the expenses that he had along the way, because he may have made more money gross, but when you're paying a lot of your own expenses and taxes on top of it, it doesn't matter as much. But I knew I was paying Kevin more money than he was making.
Right.
And I honestly didn't care how much more. I wasn't basing my business because of what I needed to do. I had to attract that talent. There was no level playing field, JJ, or anybody that thinks like him or thought like him, I should say. There was no level playing field. I had to, if I wanted to buy my way into the market to a degree, invest in my own company, and bring in the talent that will allow me to grow my market share. This is where the running a business part comes in. In order for me to make a decision to take that risk to grow my business, I had to make a commitment that was much larger than I would have had to make if I was Vince McMahon, for all the reasons we've already talked about and JJ discussed. So, yes, I paid more. Now, let's go to why I didn't use JJ. And this is where I was hoping I wouldn't have to say anything to hurt JJ's feelings, and I hope this doesn't, because I've said it before a long time ago. But I brought JJ in under special circumstances that I'm not going to discuss because it was his life, not mine. But because Kevin spoke highly of JJ and Kevin wanted to do right by JJ, Kevin came to me, explained the situation, and I thought, I'm absolutely sure I could use some help in that area. Let's just do it. I never interviewed JJ. I don't believe I did. If I did, it was a show interview. I just did the deal. And I was excited to do it for all the right reasons. Shortly thereafter, JJ came up to me carrying an envelope folder and kind of made it known to me that it was a little top secret kind of stuff. And he stopped me right in front of the receptionist, a couple of feet in front of the receptionist. And he said, "Hey, I've got something for you." I wasn't expecting anything from him. And he opened it up, and it's WWE's entire payroll. I put my hand on it. I said, "Don't need it, JJ, thank you." From that point on, I no longer trusted JJ. At least I didn't know how much I should trust JJ. Because anybody that's willing to screw their former employer at some point in time is going to be willing to screw me, because we're all going to be we're all going to have a former relationship at some point in time. And once someone crosses a line like that, and I know I can't be honest with them, or at least truthful with them about some things, I never get close again. I can be friendly, and I can allow them to do things that don't involve things that require discretion, but not with me. So that's the reason why. I just got that tingle up my spine.